Hello and welcome to this episode of Dread Captures, the ultimate destination for those who seek the thrill of witnessing the unexplained. Our channel is dedicated to bringing you the most compelling and jaw-dropping camera footage we can find. Trail cameras, security cameras, and other recording devices can capture events that occur when no one is around. We have gathered trail camera footage of wild animals, cryptids, paranormal activity, mysterious creatures lurking in the shadows, and strange phenomena that defy explanation. We have it all. Our team of experts scours the internet and beyond to bring you the latest and greatest in the world of wildlife and the unknown. So whether you're a seasoned cryptozoologist, a veteran outdoorsman, or just a curious viewer, buckle up and get ready for an adventure like no other. Now, let's get into the captures. We bring to your attention a peculiar capture from upstate New York. It's an image of a deer, but upon closer inspection, you'll realize there's something distinctly unusual about this particular deer. It bears a resemblance to a cartoon character, primarily due to its forward-facing eyes. This feature has puzzled individuals in both the scientific and paranormal communities. To understand the peculiarity, find a picture of an average deer and compare it with this one side by side. Notice the difference? A segment of the paranormal community believes they have deciphered this mystery. According to them, this deer is no ordinary deer, but a skinwalker, a human witch attempting to transform into an animal form. The anomalies we notice are attributed to imperfections in the transformation process. While this theory might sound plausible, it is quite a far-fetched explanation. However, in the absence of any other rational explanation, we are at a loss. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. This captivating footage was captured by a woman who, hearing a knock at her door, went to investigate. Anticipating a human visitor, she was startled to find herself face to face with an unusual deer. One that was eerily calm and oddly persistent in its fixation on her. This unexpected encounter with an animal that did not follow the usual instinctual fight or flight response was deeply unsettling. She set its gaze, unflinching and penetrating, seemed to bore into her very being. Overcome with fear, the woman quickly shut the door and locked it. She understood that this deer seemed to have an odd determination to cross the threshold into her home. The unusual behavior of the deer sparked a chilling speculation. Could it have been a possessed entity? Or worse, a skinwalker in disguise? In some legends, skinwalkers are understood to be shapeshifters capable of transforming into animals. The only clue to identify a skinwalker, as per these stories, is an abnormality in the creature's behavior very much like the behavior the deer was exhibiting. Additionally, skinwalkers are often associated with attempting to draw people in by producing strange noises or initiating contact, behavior that seems oddly reminiscent of the deer's persistent knocking. What do you guys think of these crazy events? Are we allowing our imaginations to run wild and jumping to conclusions? Or is there a genuine cause for concern regarding these potential skinwalkers transforming into familiar animals? You might have seen the video I did a few months ago about Casper. Casper is the Great Pyrenees livestock dog that survived an attack from 11 coyotes, killing 8 of them that were trying to attack his sheep. This incident took place in a Georgia neighborhood and shows the loyalty these brave dogs possess. Besides being large, brave and powerful dogs, the Great Pyrenees is ingrained with independence. They can make decisions on their own. A crucial characteristic when it comes to protecting livestock, especially in situations where human intervention might not be immediately possible. These dogs are very territorial and fearless when it comes to defending their charges, whether against predators or perceived threats. This next clip gives us a brief look into one of these dogs putting this on display. A pack of wolves have come to prey on his sheep, but watch how he stands his ground. Directly in their faces, not backing down. The wolves can probably take this dog, but they can tell by the stoic look on his face that they are going to be in for a battle. This intriguing footage presents us with a puzzling sight, two images of what appear to be unusual creatures. Both images have been captured from the same location, but the similarities between the two entities are debatable, as is their identification. At first glance, one might guess we're looking at a bear, or possibly an ape. However, upon closer inspection, the answer isn't quite so simple. Although the creature's face is reminiscent of a bear's, its body proportions don't align with those of any known bear species. Instead, the creature's build is oddly similar to that of an ape, adding another layer of intrigue. Despite these ape-like proportions, this creature appears to be walking with an upright, almost human gait. This combination of features might lead some to wonder, could this be evidence of the elusive Bigfoot? Yet, our current understanding of Bigfoot suggests a more human-like facial structure, not bear-like. So, could we be looking at another legendary cryptid such as the Dogman or Wolfman? Given some of the more canine characteristics, it's not out of the question. But as always, with such evidence we're left with more questions than answers. Is this a Dogman, Wolfman, or perhaps an entirely new cryptid? Or might these images be elaborate hoaxes? In the second clip, we see another capture of what may be the same creature. Though captured independently, this image hails from the same location as the first. Could we be looking at a previously unidentified type of cryptid? The increasing frequency of these captures might suggest that these creatures are increasing, or perhaps human intrusion into their territory is becoming more common. What are your thoughts on this compelling yet confusing evidence? Is it an entirely new cryptid? A known creature captured in unusual circumstances? Or perhaps a cunning work of creativity? I'm eager to hear what you all think. This next encounter came from a viewer named Rick. I'm going to read what he wrote in his email. The name's Rick. I'm a quiet small town guy who loves hunting. My story, however, is far from the usual deer or rabbit hunt. I come from a long line of hunters. It's something that's been in my family for generations. My dad taught me to hunt when I was just a kid, showing me how to respect the woods, to move silently, and to understand the signs that animals leave behind. I spent most of my life roaming the woods around our small town, so I've seen my fair share of wildlife. Deer, boar, you name it. I'd tell you I know every nook and cranny, every critter in that forest. It's like a second home to me, always familiar, always predictable. Well, it used to be predictable until the day of my encounter. In all those years of tracking and hunting, I'd never seen or even heard of anything like it. You'd think a man with my experience wouldn't be easily shaken, but this encounter, it was unlike anything I'd ever faced before. I was out in the usual hunting grounds, an expansive woodland about a mile off my cabin. It was a day like any other, quiet and uneventful until it wasn't. As I started my day, I'd rise with the dawn, fix myself a hearty breakfast, and venture into the wilderness, taking comfort in the familiar call of the forest. I'd carefully navigate my way through, all the while keeping an eye out for tracks, broken twigs, and any other signs of game. It was the peak of deer season, and I was looking forward to a successful hunt. Armed with my rifle and my trusty hunting dog Max by my side, we ventured into our regular hunting spot, a secluded clearing deep within the woods. It was a spot where deer frequented as it was near a small creek, an essential watering hole for the local fauna. Everything was going as planned. But that feeling of normalcy wouldn't last. It would soon be replaced by a creeping sense of unease, a feeling that something wasn't quite right. Little did I know, I was about to come face to face with a creature right out of a horror film. Strange occurrences began early on, like the absolute silence that fell over the woods. No chirping birds, no rustling leaves, just silence. And then there was the smell, an awful stench like rotting flesh wafting through the air. The encounter happened just as the sun was setting. In the faint twilight, I saw it. A creature that towered over me, around 9 feet tall, standing on what seemed to be deer-like legs. Its skull-like face adorned with antlers, eye sockets glowing with a ghastly yellow light. As we ventured deeper into the woods, a faint rustling caught my attention. I initially dismissed it as the wind rustling through the leaves, but the sound persisted, growing louder and more unsettling. Max began to whimper and tug at his leash, a stark contrast to his usual fearlessness. It was then that a terrible smell hit me, a pungent, nauseating scent akin to rotting meat. I've spent countless hours in the wilderness, but never have I encountered a smell so horrendous. Still, I pressed on, attributing the smell to a decomposing carcass nearby. What I wasn't prepared for was the sight that awaited me in the clearing. Illuminated by the faint moonlight filtering through the trees was a creature like no other I've encountered before. It stood tall, a good 9 feet or so, towering over the deer it was seemingly feeding on. Its body was reminiscent of a deer's, with elongated legs that ended in hooves. But it wasn't the body that sent chills down my spine. It was the creature's face. Where a deer's head should have been was a skull, not unlike a deer's, but devoid of any flesh. 2 holes for eyes that glowed an eerie yellow. It was a sight that would haunt my dreams for many nights to come. A chill went down my spine, as I realized that the rotting smell I'd picked up earlier was coming from the creature itself. The sight of it, the smell. It was horrifying. I was frozen in place, a mix of fear and disbelief coursing through me. As the creature turned to look at me, I felt a jolt of primal fear surge through me. It was an instinctive reaction, the kind of fear that roots you to the spot and makes your heart pound in your chest. My breath hitched, and for a moment, everything around me seemed to still. I faced down angry boars and wounded bears, but never had I felt fear like this. This wasn't just another animal. The eerie glow in its eyes, the grotesque form, the overpowering stench of decay, it all pointed to something unnatural. Something I'd heard of in tales around the campfire, but never truly believed. My mind was racing, trying to make sense of the sight before me, while every instinct screamed at me to flee. Despite my fear, however, a part of me was also fascinated. I was witnessing something few people ever have, something that challenged everything I thought I knew about the world. I managed to back away slowly and head back home. Since then, I can't shake off the eerie feeling. I've started hearing strange sounds at night, and the stench, it sometimes returns. I wonder if that creature is out there, watching. After the encounter, everything changed for me. The woods, once a place of tranquility and solitude, now felt threatening and unknown. Every rustle of leaves, every shadow in the corner of my eye, had me on edge. I kept expecting to see those terrible glowing eyes staring back at me. Even when I was safe at home, I couldn't shake off the feeling of dread. Every creak of the house, every gust of wind, sent my heart racing. I barely slept for days, haunted by nightmares of the creature. I tried talking to a few close friends about it, but most of them laughed it off as a tall tale. Some advised me to lay off the booze. Others suggested that maybe I was getting too old for hunting. Only a few seemed to understand the depth of my fear, though even they struggled to fully believe my story. Over time, I've learned to cope with the fear. I don't go hunting as much as I used to, and when I do, I never venture into that part of the woods. I'm not sure what I saw that day, and part of me doesn't want to know. But one thing's for certain, I'll never forget the sight of that creature and the terror it instilled in me. At the initial glimpse, you may see what seems to be an ape hiding in the brush, but when you look closer, you start to notice the things that separate this creature from any common primate. Despite its dense, shaggy fur, which might be reminiscent of an ape, the creature doesn't quite match the profile of any known primate. Upon standing to its full height, the being in question towers at a staggering 7 to 8 feet. Yet what truly sets it apart is not just its impressive stature, but also the distinctly human-like attributes it seems to present in its physical form. These features immediately triggered thoughts of the legendary Bigfoot among those who witnessed the footage. However, in spite of its considerable size, there's a possibility that this could be a younger member of the alleged species, a juvenile perhaps, given that mature Bigfoots, as per anecdotal evidence, often exceed this size. Adding credibility to the Bigfoot hypothesis is the fact that this area of South Carolina has been a hotspot for Bigfoot sightings over the years. This raises the question, could this footage present the tangible proof of the elusive creature's existence? Or could it be an elaborate stunt? I'd love to know what you all think. Do you believe this is genuine evidence of the elusive Sasquatch? Or could it be another well-constructed hoax? The being captured in this footage presents a mysterious blend of human and primate characteristics, raising intriguing questions about its identity. Contrary to conventional primates, this creature is unusually bipedal, walking on 2 legs much like a human would. The similarities don't end there. The proportions of its limbs, the hands and legs in particular, display an uncanny resemblance to those of a human being. The creature's fur-covered body, however, differs significantly from human appearance. Unfortunately, the lighting is pretty bad, as well as the relatively low resolution quality of the image, so the creature's facial features remain a mystery. Although a clear identification is impossible to make based on this footage, one would be hard-pressed to believe that its face would mirror a human's, given its otherwise primate-like features. The cryptid community, driven by the countless anecdotal and photographic evidence of Bigfoot, leans strongly towards identifying the creature as such. This viewpoint is shared by the individual who unexpectedly captured this footage. Interestingly, the area where the trail camera was set up has been a hotbed for purported Bigfoot sightings, adding credibility to the claim. Considering the considerable stature of the creature in the image, standing at an imposing 9 feet, the proposition of it being a Bigfoot doesn't seem as unbelievable as one might think. But what's your take on this? Share your thoughts and theories and let me know what you think. Sometimes people need to look after not just their own pets, but also other animals in trouble. These animals can experience hardships and need our help. The ways they ask for our help can be very moving. In this footage, a young kangaroo managed to swim midway into the river before becoming utterly exhausted. Individuals aboard a nearby boat immediately sprang into action to help, but bringing the kangaroo onto the boat could have caused it significant stress. Therefore, they decided to give the little kangaroo the adventure of a lifetime. Instead, they were able to guide the kangaroo to safety and minimized its distress. It was a fascinating moment, demonstrating both human compassion and the resilience of the animal kingdom. Upon discovering a young fawn battling a strong current, a family quickly leaps into action. As the mother and child cheer on the struggling creature from the bank, the father dashes downstream to a point where he could potentially reach the distressed fawn. His rescue plan works, and with mere seconds to spare, manages to save the fawn from its risky adventure. Thanks to the timely intervention of these kind-hearted Samaritans, the deer scampers away unharmed. This big elk was stuck in a mud bog, barely able to keep its head out of the mud. The elk had likely been struggling in there for hours, almost completely submerged. It took 5 people to pull it to safety. You can see how exhausted it is afterwards.
Тяни еще, назад слезет, тяни еще. Еще, чтобы задние ноги вылезли. Все.
Can't even walk.
Пускай полежит.
This video is pretty wild. There's a python that was really hungry and ended up eating a towel of all things. The towel was a meter long? Lucky for the snake, vets got to it in time to help it out. We don't know how long a mother bear had been watching a dumpster on a lonely road where her cubs were trapped. A woman came with a truck and quickly put a ladder in the dumpster so the cubs could get out. But one thing is clear. Without these brave people, her 3 young cubs would not have survived. Just amazing demonstrations of people helping animals in need and all of nature working together. This intriguing image surfaced online recently, posted by a user who says that they captured it on a trail camera. The image has sparked a widespread debate and reignited interest in a long-standing debate. At first glance, it's hard not to jump to an exciting conclusion. Could this be the face of the infamous Bigfoot? Covered in a thick layer of brown hair, the creature sports a broad nose suggesting a robust body to match. Yet, despite its imposing appearance, something in the creature's eyes suggests an unexpected gentleness. This contrast adds a layer of complexity to our usual assumptions about Bigfoot, painting a picture of a creature that is not just physically powerful, but potentially gentle as well. However, as with any image that stirs the pot of popular mythos, questions abound. Is this image authentic, or is it a clever piece of digital trickery? Could this truly be the elusive face of Bigfoot caught on camera at last? Or is it merely another piece in the ongoing puzzle of cryptozoology? Until we have more evidence, this captivating image serves as a tantalizing possibility. A fresh fuel for the fire of the Bigfoot legend. Whether real or fake, it continues to captivate and mystify us, sparking our imaginations and the endless quest for answers.